out that every really well-educated man ought to see Florence, Venice, and Rome. This travel has also the additional advantage of providing many subjects of conversation in society, and of giving one an opportunity of bringing forward artistic generalities which appear profound. This time I went alone, and I arrived in Genoa at the same time as the year before, but without any adventure on the road. I went to the same hotel, and actually happened to have the same room. I was hardly in bed when the recollection of Francesca, which, since the evening before, had been floating vaguely through my mind, haunted me with strange persistency. I thought of her nearly the whole night, and by degrees the wish to see her again seized me, a confused desire at first, which gradually grew stronger and more intense. At last I made up my mind to spend the next day in Genoa to try to find her, and if I should not succeed, to take the evening train. Early in the morning I set out on my search. I remembered the directions she had given me when she left me perfectly. Victor Emmanuel Street, house of the furniture dealer, at the bottom of the yard on the right. I found it without the least difficulty, and I knocked at the door of a somewhat dilapidated-looking dwelling. It was opened by a stout woman who must have been very handsome, but who actually was only very dirty. Although she had too much plumpness, she still bore the lines of majestic beauty. Her untidy hair fell over her forehead and shoulders, and one fancied one could see her floating about in an enormous dressing gown covered with spots of dirt and grease. Round her neck she wore a great gilt necklace, and on her wrists were splendid bracelets of Genoa filigree work. In a rather hostile manner she asked me what I wanted, and I replied by requesting her to tell me whether Francesca Rondoli lived here. "What do you want with her?" she asked. "I had the pleasure of meeting her last year, and I would like to see her again." The old woman looked at me suspiciously. "Where did you meet her?" she asked. "Why, here in Genoa itself." "What is your name?" I hesitated a moment, then I told her. I had hardly done so when the Italian put out her arms as if to embrace me. "Oh, you are the Frenchman! How glad I am to see you! But what grief you caused my poor child! She waited for you for a month. Yes, a whole month. At first she thought you would come to fetch her. She wanted to see whether you loved her. If you only knew how she cried when she saw you were not coming. She cried till she seemed to have no tears left. Then she went to the hotel, but you had gone. She thought that most likely you were traveling in Italy, and that you would return to Genoa to fetch her, as she would not go without you. And she waited more than a month, monsieur, and she was so unhappy, so unhappy. I am her mother." I really felt a little disconcerted, but I regained my self-possession and asked, "Where is she now?" "She has gone to Paris with a painter, a delightful man who loves her very much, and who gives her everything she wants. Just look at what she sent me. They are very pretty, are they not?" And she showed me, with quite southern animation, her heavy bracelets and necklace. "I have also," she continued, "earrings with stones in them, and a silk dress and some rings, but I only wear them on grand occasions. Oh, she is very happy, monsieur, very happy. She will be so pleased when I tell her you have been here. Pray come in and sit down. You will take something or other, surely." But I refused, as I now wished to get away by the first train. But she took me by the arm and pulled me in, saying, "Please come in. I must tell her that you have been here." I found myself in a small, rather dark room, furnished with only a table and a few chairs. She continued, "Oh, she is very happy now, very happy. When you met her in the train she was very miserable. She had had an unfortunate love affair in Marseilles, and she was coming home, poor child. But she liked you at once, though she was still rather sad. You understand. Now she has all she wants, and she writes and tells me everything she does. His name is Bellarmine, and they say he is a great painter in your country. He fell in love with her at first sight. But will you take a glass of syrup? It is very good. Are you quite alone this year?" "Yes," I said, "quite alone." I felt an increasing inclination to laugh, as my first disappointment was dispelled by what Mother Rondoli said. I was obliged, however, to drink a glass of her syrup. "So you are quite alone?" she continued. "How sorry I am that Francesca is not here now. She would have been company for you all the time you stayed. It is not very amusing to go about by oneself, and she will be very sorry also." Then, as I was getting up to go, she exclaimed, "Would you like to go with Carlotta? She knows all the walks very well. She is my second daughter, monsieur." No doubt she took my look of surprise for consent, for she opened the inner door and called out up the dark stairs which I could not see, "Carlotta, Carlotta, make haste, my dear child." I tried to protest, but she would not listen. "No, she will be very glad to go with you. She is very nice, and much more cheerful than her sister. And she is a good girl, a very good girl, whom I love very much." In a few moments a tall, slender, dark girl appeared, her hair hanging down, and her youthful figure showing unmistakably beneath an old dress of her mother's. The latter at once told her how matters stood. "This is Francesca's Frenchman, you know, the one whom she knew last year. He is quite alone, and has come to look for her, poor fellow. So I told him that you would go with him to keep him company." The girl looked at me with handsome dark eyes and said, smiling, "I have no objection if he wishes it." I could not possibly refuse, and merely said, "Of course, I should be very glad of your company." Her mother pushed her out. "Go and get dressed directly. Put on your blue dress and your hat with the flowers, and make haste." As soon as she had left the room, the old woman explained herself. "I have two others, but they are much younger. It costs a lot of money to bring up 4 children. Luckily, the eldest is off my hands at present." Then she told all about herself, about her husband who had been an employee of the railroad, but who was dead, and she expatiated on the good qualities of Carlotta, her second girl, who soon returned, dressed, as her sister had been, in a strikingly peculiar manner. Her mother examined her from head to foot, and after finding everything right, she said, "Now, my child, you can go." Then turning to the girl, she said, "Be sure you are back at 10 o'clock tonight. You know the door is locked then." The answer was, "All right, mamma, don't alarm yourself." She took my arm, and we went wandering about the streets, just as I had wandered the previous year with her sister. We returned to the hotel for lunch, and then I took my new friend to Santa Margarita, just as I had taken her sister the previous year. During the whole fortnight which I had at my disposal, I took Carlotta to all the places of interest in and about Genoa. She gave me no cause to regret her sister. She cried when I left her, and the morning of my departure I gave her 4 bracelets for her mother, besides a substantial token of my affection for herself. One of these days I intend to return to Italy, and I cannot help remembering with a certain amount of uneasiness, mingled with hope, that Madame Rondoli has 2 more daughters. The End of the Rondoli Sisters, read by Roy Schreiber.